So essentially what we're saying is China's population, uh, China's GDP at the time is growing at something like, you know, uh, x squared, right? Is growing at something like x squared. Um, for let's say, x greater than zero, right? So this is here on this graph, right? This is China's sort of population growth rate. Ignore the axes, okay? Ignore the axes, the numbers. But the point is the vertical axis is supposed to represent the sort of percentage, let's say, it's just an arbitrary number for size, okay? And this axis is time, okay? X-axis is time, Y-axis is just size, okay? Now, consider sort of e to the x, right? Sort of population growth. Okay. Also, I'll add add one here or something, or let's add two. I think this is probably the best example, right? So again, we've got e to the x, and we can put x greater than zero here. So okay, so what we have is we've got two graphs here, right? We've got the red line, which is China's GDP growth. Okay, this is China's GDP growth. And then we have China's population growth, which is e to the x. Or, if you want to sort of have a nicer view, we could sort of do, x to the kind of 1.5 or something, or x to the 1.2, let's say. And then instead of e to the x, we could do maybe e to the x over 2 or something, or e to the x over 1.5, just so you can sort of see what's going on here. So, okay, so there we go. So as you can see, we've got good, strong GDP growth. But then, the issue really is there's some kind of, there is some kind of retraction that occurs, right? So if we think about what's interesting, right, is the following. So if this is the GDP, okay, if this is the GDP and this is the population, we can plot the GDP per capita, right? So if we call this f of x, right, this is f of x, you can call this g of x, okay, is equal to this. Now, if we create a new function, h of x, which is equal to f over g, f of x over g of x. Look at this. This is we've now managed to plot a function of the GDP per capita of China. Okay? So just to be clear, all we've done is we've taken the population, we've taken the GDP. This is GDP. Right, that's GDP. This is population. And this is our GDP per capita, right? It's the division of the two. And that gives you this line. And as you can see, China's GDP per capita is at great threat precisely because the population is outstripping the GDP growth rate. Okay, so this mathematical sort of solution could be part of your essay in the following way.